to Bachelor Buzz, the best place to come for recaps on your favorite reality TV dating show and the latest in Bachelor Nation news. We're your hosts, Arena
and Julia, and we're so excited for you guys to join us on one of our bonus episodes. Today we're talking about diversity in Bachelor Nation and the franchise. So sit tight, grab your waters with it. I'm drinking water now.
with my sparkling water here, guys.
Yes, cheers. Stay hydrated, friends. Today we're talking about diversity, and it's something that we've talked a lot about, like here and there throughout the seasons, the season that we recapped, and then also just like our news updates and stuff like that. But today we're going to get a little deeper into it. So
we're just going to focus on it in this episode and talk about, like Julia said, diversity or the lack thereof and representation on this show. And we also have another episode for those that want to hear more about what we're talking about when we talk about things with LGBTQIA plus community and Pride Month specifically. We thought a great time to release that episode. But today it's going to be on just racially, religion, color, all of those things.
All of it.
That
minority.
Yes. Yeah. That people of color and, lack of representation in a good, proper light, I will say, on the show.
Yeah.
So we can't talk about this, I feel like, without briefly mentioning the former host of the show. And for those who don't know, you can look it up, but I will say his name is Chris Harrison. He was the host on the show for 19 years? 20 years?
Yeah.
And
20 years.
He was
from the beginning
go of the show from the show in 2021, and it's not like he didn't get paid, guys, to leave. So he did leave the show, but he left financially okay. So basically the reason he left was that this was right after, I believe, Matt James
BLM.
He was the first Bachelor that identifies as a Black man, and he was at that point the fourth person of color to be in a lead role on the show. And basically, unfortunately, I didn't get to really watch the season because I wasn't watching the show at that point. One of the reasons was the lack of diversity, but I've only got to see a few episodes of it because it's hard to find online, guys. And so I have read things and I've heard things. Julia, did you watch that season?
I did. And something that I think is also pertinent to this conversation was that this season for Matt James happened like kind of in the thick of COVID, or like, at the tail end of it. And then also the BLM movement was like very strong at that time. So race and, identity was really on the forefront of a lot of people's minds at that time. And when Chris Harris, so what happened, basically, Matt James he ended with Rachel Kirkconnell. They didn't get engaged, right?
They did.
They did. Okay, they did get engaged, but then they broke up because it was revealed that she had these like antebellum pictures. These like
it was a party at her school.
It was a party. Basically depicting like the South during slavery. And I've never attended one of those parties, thank God. I don't know anyone who has, but like what I understand is that if you're Black, you show up in slave outfits, and if you're white, you act like them. I don't know. It's really
I didn't know.
I think that's part of it. And obviously that's really disgusting. Anyway, so Rachel was in a sorority that participated in that. And so it was a plantation themed formal in 2018. And Harrison just like defended that, not saying like, oh, I think that was great. He didn't say that. He basically was just saying like, oh, she made a mistake. Like, oh, it happened 3 years ago. Things were so different then. And Rachel Lindsay was like, no. Like, she even mentioned like, if I were there, I would have been
What
dressed
would
as a
I?
slave.
Well, she
Yeah,
was
what
like,
would
what
have,
would I have been? Like,
yeah, what would I have been exactly? But I think the implication would be that. And after that, he was like totally canceled. He was regretful. He said, oh, like, I made a mistake. But in the end, it's just that I can say the viewers came together just being like, no, we don't want someone who's like allowing racism and
some
like
of the viewers, yeah.
or
Yeah.
dismissing it. And so
So it just, and I think just the way that they presented him, apparently Matt, that season,
mm,
and his relationship with his father, and then just there's different things
mm,
that came up that you guys can definitely check out online, and also there are some other podcasts that covered those seasons that may talk about it too, for even more background on Chris Harrison and what happened. But I think that at that point, like we said, there had only been four people, and it was apparent that in the show there were like maybe one person or two people of color in the
right.
cast for The
Yeah.
Bachelor or Bachelorette throughout the seasons. And unfortunately, it seemed like not, well, most of the time it seemed like people never made it, people of color never made it past a
Right.
certain point to
Yeah, like
even
there
be
are
a
jokes that
contender.
people say where it's like, oh, like the first night all the minorities like leave. And that's really depressing and terrible to say because it's like it has been true.
Yeah,
But
and
no.
I think it speaks to part of casting too, because I feel like this past season with, well, the past, I'll say the past two seasons because I watched them so well, Charity and Joey. So Charity's group of guys was a mixture of men from different backgrounds, people of color and white men. And Joey's season was the most diverse season for The Bachelor at the mansion. Matt James's season prior to that was the most diverse one, but they didn't
Mhm.
shoot it at the mansion for those that watched it. It was at a lodge because of COVID.
Yeah.
So his season was the most diverse in the mansion, and him being a white man, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I think the casting for him on Charity season was really good because he did get to that point where he was going to propose to her and get engaged to her. And I
Yeah.
think part of the issues, one of the many issues for this show, is that people would say something like, well, it's not really the show's fault. That lead is just, he's just not into different people, well,
Right.
then cast different leads.
Yeah.
I don't really know what else we have to do. Look at their socials. You can
Yeah.
do background
If they
research.
only want a couple types of people, then that's not a very fun show.
It's not. And then
Yeah.
it's like what we talk about in another episode. If you're watching that show as much as you love love and deep down you want to see people fall in love and be happy, because that's lovely. If you don't see yourself represented, it really sucks. And as a young person growing up, when you don't see that, you just start to think, well, that show's not for me.
Right. I can't have love, or I can't, I
And
wouldn't be
I
that
can't be the
person.
one that's the ideal
Right.
one.
That
I can't be the
people are
desired
vying
one.
after.
Hmm.
And I think that's why, like, it is good that they've chosen a person of color for the next, for Jen, for The
Hmm.
Bachelorette coming up. Like, that is good. I know I've seen a lot of like content creators and other people on, in the Bachelor Nation world who are like, wow, like AAPI representation, like I never thought I'd see it.
Hmm.
So it's really great to see it. And I think that is moving in the right direction. Now, her group of dudes, like, I don't know. We'll see how they turn out.
Yeah.
But are they super diverse? Have we looked at them very
Well, the thing
much?
is too that let's keep in, I mean, there's diversity for sure, but Let's keep in mind too that they're supposed to cast for the lead, right? And I
Yeah.
don't know what changes they made before she actually came in. So
Mm.
I hope
Maybe
it's a
they had
different
another
guys.
lead in mind.
Yeah, when they
Oh,
cast it, because they cast for
see,
the lead.
yeah. And if they don't know who it will be, then that's a long
Yeah,
time of like wasted time.
yeah,
That's like the issue with Tasha. Remember when she
yes,
came on and they
yeah,
were all Claire's like
uh-huh.
rejects or not rejects, but like
But like, yeah, I mean, she
the
found her
guys that
voice the
were
right
picked for
way.
Claire.
Yeah,
Now, a lot of the guys were very happy to see Tasha come
yes,
in.
they were.
But,
That's
like,
unfair.
was it really her season? No. You
No,
know, it felt like she got, she was just
Jim.
rushed in on the last second. And yeah. And that sucks. Like that's not how you want it to be. Was she the first African American lead?
Well, no, and she's mixed race, so also like
Okay.
it's because her mother's Mexican and her father is African
Oh.
American.
Hmm.
But the first African American lead was Rachel
Oh,
Lynn,
Rachel, duh.
2017.
Yeah, Rachel, then Tasha, then
Tisha.
Michelle.
Matt, then Michelle, because Michelle came
Oh,
from
I was
Matt's
thinking
season.
Bachelorettes. Uh-huh.
And yeah, Bachelorettes, she is the next one. And then it was Charity,
Charity.
and then now Jen.
Yeah. So yeah, it sucks to see that, she didn't really get her full experience. Now, she ended up having a pretty good season, given COVID, given
Yeah.
Claire. She ended up with Zach. They didn't make it, they broke up later on, but it seems like it was good. But, all that extra effort and everything, like you have to wonder, could she have found someone different if they actually casted for her?
Maybe. We'll
Oh.
never know. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's a good point that you brought up because it's important, especially I think in situations where the lead is a person of color, that they do truly cast for that individual
Mhm.
because also you just don't want to waste time.
No.
And
All this
you just,
effort.
yeah, all this effort. And then also in the cast, like, make sure you're finding people, no matter what their background is, that are open or have experience dating and truly feel like they want to marry someone,
Mhm.
if it's not their race, someone of a different race or religion
Yeah.
or color or nationality. Um, Whatever that background is, because that's unfair to the lead. And also the fact that I feel like, with Charity being the first person to choose someone to create a monoracial couple in the franchise history, which there's nothing wrong with not being in a monoracial couple. There's nothing wrong with being in a monoracial couple, just to clarify. But after, 20 plus years, she was the first monoracial couple.
Wait, but what about Michelle?
Well, people say
Michelle
because
and
she's mixed race and the guy that she chose is
oh,
mixed
and
race.
Nate.
Yes,
Oh,
Nate.
okay. Yeah, I guess
Um,
so.
Although they're both, yeah. Although obviously
Yeah.
if they both identify as black, they're both black.
Yeah.
But Charity and Dotton were the first monoracial.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm
That
not
makes
like
sense.
picking and choosing here, guys. It's all good.
Yeah.
But it is something that it's funny that it's taken this long, and it's funny that this
Mhm.
is the first time we have someone like Jen being a lead. This is the first
Yes.
time that like it feels like maybe they're moving in the right direction, but they still have a long ways to go. They still have to diversify more, even within the cast itself. And I think that recently they've done a better job in terms of the contestants. But in the past, a lot of the time, it seemed like some of the contestants were being edited in a way that
Yeah.
spoke to the stereotypes of their
Mhm.
race. And that was, I'm assuming, or I know, but I'm just going to say I'm not an executive at ABC and Disney, but that they were doing that because it made people feel comfortable with what they were watching, feeling like, oh, well, well, that's how they all act, type of thing.
Mm.
And that's a shame too, because that's so unfair and such a disservice and disrespectful to the people who go on the show and have to go through that experience. And also the fact that a lot of people that come from the show that are people of color experience a lot of hate.
Yeah.
And I'll see specifically, I know a lot of the Black people that come from the show or identify as Black have received a lot of horrible
Yeah.
racial slurs, hatred, people telling them to like kill themselves, wanting to kill them, different things like
I
that.
mean, yeah. Look at how Rachel was received on the Women
Mhm.
Tell All. And
Mhm.
actually Jesse Palmer got a little bit of backlash on his like response to
Yeah.
when she talked about like the death threats
Yeah.
after her hometown, when people saw
Yeah.
her family and there were the like death threats that she made it on
Yeah.
uh the next rose ceremony and everything.
Yeah.
And then he immediately was like, we've all like what other ladies have had like negative social media. I
Mhm.
think what he was trying to do was to just be like, everyone, like, stop being mean to our girls. But
Mhm.
we really need to honor the fact that hers was very much uncalled for and
Yes.
very racially
Motivated.
motivated.
Yep.
So like, I love Jesse Palmer, but like he really needs to make sure that he doesn't make the same silly remarks as Chris Harrison,
Mhm.
and he needs to do better
Yeah.
than Chris did. And
Mhm.
honestly, I think he needs to do better than his response there. I hope somebody gave him a little talking to.
I hope
I don't
someone
think
gave
people
him
talked about it
feedback.
enough. Uh-huh.
Yeah, they didn't. And like you said, I love Jesse too.
Yeah.
I love him more as a host for sure.
Yeah.
And I think in general, I feel like he is definitely more open on a very authentic and true level than a Chris Harrison is.
Mhm.
But yes, that being said, his comments really kind of like downplayed what Rachel went
Yeah.
through and what other people who go on the show have been through when they're on the show. And
Yeah.
that was wrong to do. People shouldn't be bullied at all, of course. Sydney should not have gotten death threats at her store on
No.
the telephone phone for her store. 100%. And you cannot lump those all in together in the same category because they are distinctly different.
Right.
And I feel like also, I know that Joey, we all know I love Joey, right? But I know he's under contract, so I'm sure he's like specific in how he responds to things, but I don't feel like his comments were amazing either. Honestly, I don't feel like
Yeah.
he stood up for her in any way. And like I said, I love Joey.
They
Okay,
all
so
just kind of
Joey,
got
Kelsey, if you
swept
listen to this,
by.
yes,
Yeah.
it kind of felt like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. Oh, and then you saw people in the audience that were like, oh my gosh. And then it was just kind of like, no one should go through any type of bullying. On to
Yeah.
the next, like,
Who else got bullied? It's like,
yeah,
okay,
just,
back to Sydney, the white girl.
yeah,
Let's hear her
yeah.
story
It
again.
just felt so wrong to do it that way and
Yeah.
sad and hurtful. And I just didn't care for that. And like
I
I said,
just,
though, I love them,
yeah.
but
But
it,
honestly, like it does really the root issue. Well, the exacts, I don't know. But the root issue is just the people who watch Bachelor. Like, guys, don't bully people. Like, stop. It's a reality show.
it's not,
Everything
yeah.
you see is edited.
Yes.
It all is a storyline that they're
Mm-hmm.
following. Yes, there's love, but there's also a lot that is fed to these people who are
Yeah.
on the show, and we love talking about it. We always take it for like what it's worth, we try and like see the light and like the truth through it. But
Yeah.
like in the end, we know it's a reality show and like you
Yes.
can't wish death on someone,
Oh my gosh. It's not that
especially for
serious,
something they can't
guys.
control, like their family.
It's like it's not even
Pressure.
necessary in any way, shape, or form. Just like then don't watch the show, honestly.
Yeah.
Just skip the season. If you can't handle it, skip the season
Yeah.
because
Or
it's just
just
not
maybe
worth it.
like do some inner work and get over it.
As much as it would, yeah, that would be nice. That would be
That's what we
nice. Who
need.
knows? But yeah, it's so part of it also I feel like, the show doesn't really do anything to truly, I feel like, denounce it either
Yeah,
when those type of things happen. And they still cater to a certain audience that has been their
exactly.
core since 2009, 2001, 2002. I can't remember when the
Yeah,
show started for you.
2001.
2001. Their core. And, you know, if you look back on those episodes from those seasons, there's a Freevee channel, guys, where they have past episodes and seasons of The Bachelor going way back to the beginning.
2020, 2002,
It
sorry.
was 2002. Okay, spring 2002, right? Like, I think.
March,
Okay.
yep. You are
Okay.
so good.
So, so you can go back and look at those shows and yeah, you can see why maybe the audience was a certain look in a certain way and expected a certain way of things, but things have changed. And
Yes.
even though it was never great to be that way because it's not like people of color didn't exist, but we are, as a collective, there's people that are more aware. And
Yeah.
I think it would be beneficial for the franchise to not only denounce when these things happen, but to also make a conscious effort every single season of the flagship shows, not just Bachelor in Paradise, where I feel like they act like, oh, but hey, we got a bunch of people over on this show, and there's couples up on this show, and getting together and different types of people and everything. That's great. I'm glad Bachelor in Paradise exists, of course, which, like you mentioned before, isn't coming back this summer, which sucks.
Lame.
Ugh,
I'm so salty about that.
I'm
Although,
so
thank God we have Jen and the Golden
thank
Bachelorette. So.
goodness. And Joan, I love Joan for the Golden Bachelorette, and we're
Mhm.
gonna have another Golden Bachelor who will probably come from her season.
Yeah.
But it's like you got to do it on the main shows, and you have to be genuine about it, and that includes the leads, that includes the contestants, that includes not editing anyone in a way that is going to be a stereotype, and that includes being diverse in so many different ways, whether it's race, color, nationality, religion. Body diversity is important too, guys. We need to have people of different body types. Jen's season, there is a guy on there who I don't remember his name, but he
Okay.
is a bigger gentleman. And that's great to
Yeah.
see because we don't see that. Like when we do see bigger guys, it's like football player guys that are built and in shape. Not that he's not, but like, you know what I mean? Like a certain look, because for a while that was the look that was on The Bachelor, right?
Yeah.
Former football players.
Totally.
But like, we need to see that because people should see themselves and they should be able to see love stories that are different, like we always talk about. And I know I would enjoy it. I would love to see couples and love stories that reflect my experiences in dating and my marriage. And I know that even though my children don't watch, my little girl, my 5-year-old, she has seen parts that are not risque on the show, where there's not a ton of kissing. And because she loves the gowns and stuff too, and the dates.
Yeah.
It would be lovely for her to see someone where she goes, oh, like me.
Yes.
Um, that would be
Exactly.
lovely. I would love that for her because I didn't see that when I was growing up. And it makes you feel
Yeah.
kind of like, well, is
I
that
think
ever gonna
that's such a true point, Arena. And I think we've talked a lot about how like, with our Pride episode, we're talking about how
Yes.
like the next generation, like these Gen Z kids,
Mm-hmm.
they are so open and accepting of gender and sexuality.
Yeah.
And what we need to remember is that that's the future.
Mm-hmm.
And your daughter is an example of also the future of the genetic future of
Mm-hmm.
our, world. People are globalizing and coming together from all types of parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are become, it's more common that people are mixed. I mean, I'm like a mutt. Like I don't look it, but I have a lot of different nationalities in my DNA. My son as well,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's just like that's the future. And if this franchise wants to keep up, if they want to grow, if they want to get better and actually break norms and empower people, who knows if that's their goal or not. But I sure hope it's their goal. If their goal is love, then this is part of that.
Yeah. And to move with it, especially when there's other shows that are doing a better job with it. These other
Hmm.
dating shows that, like we
Yes.
mentioned, streaming is a big platform for these other dating
Yeah.
shows that show more diversity in love, and whether it is sexual orientation or like your race or color or just
Hmm.
really anything else
Yeah.
is portrayed pretty much on these other reality dating shows and
Yeah.
streaming. And it just feels like, I find joy in that. Like when I watch those shows, one of the reasons I'm like, oh, awesome. Like I'm seeing different people and I'm seeing different love stories, and that makes me excited. It makes me go, oh my gosh, and I'm excited to watch. And I go back to The Bachelor and I'm like, oh, what is it going to be this season? Like,
Yeah.
like,
It
what's
really
it?
is. Yeah. Like they're trying, but it is still like that cookie cutter
Yeah,
template, you know?
yeah.
And we've also talked about how, like, even if they do have a lead who is a minority,
Mm-hmm.
like, are they honoring their story the right
Mm-hmm.
way? You know, like,
Yep.
I'm really hoping that they honor Jen's story
Hope so.
and like her
Even there.
culture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, because there's been a couple things where I'm like, oh no, I hope they're not gonna go the whole like she's crazy, she's like a fun party girl or like a
Mm-hmm.
fun girl. And I really want, I mean, maybe that's who she really is. And if that's the case, then, you know, I don't fault her for it. But I think that she portrayed herself as a deeper person on
Yes.
Joey's season, you
Yes.
know? And like, I don't know if it was her idea, but like when she had everyone take a shot at the finale, that was odd to me. I was like, "Oh no, is this like the theme of the season?" You know? And
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't see that like during his season, so I was
Yeah.
confused by that.
Yeah,
But
I hope, like you said, I agree. I hope that we do see her culture and her background and it's honored. It's not swept under the rug, that it's embraced,
yeah.
and also that with her, that we do see the deeper side of her because, yeah, that's great if she's a fun person because she does seem fun, but like she's a fun
Hmm.
person that's wonderful and we want to see that, but we also want to see the deeper side and really get to know who Jen is because she's the bachelorette.
Yes,
And
she is.
yes, and we are so excited to see her story and to see her love story. I'm especially excited to see her love story and who she ends up with in terms of
Very.
like the personality of the guy and what he's about. And, like I just hope that it's an amazing season because she is, unfortunately, in these situations, when you're the first, there's so much that you have to live up to, and there's so much
Yes.
that's going to be judged, and so much that people,
Scrutinized.
yes, scrutinized. Thank you. That's the perfect word.
Hmm.
It's unfortunate, but it's just the nature of being the first and being someone from a underrepresented community that's brought on to the show.
Yeah.
This is what happens. So I just hope it's a great season and that it goes well. But unfortunately, even then, she will still be scrutinized. The season will still be
I
scrutinized because that is
know.
just what happens
Well,
all the time.
oh, we need to stand up for her. I'm gonna be like in
Yeah,
the comments, like, Be
right.
quiet, you."
Just, yeah. Like people have said she's boring. And it's like, how do you find she's boring from the
Crazy to
show,
hear
from
that.
Joy's season? She was not boring.
I
She rode
know.
in the first night in a go kart. How is
Yes,
that boring?
she was fun, she was bubbly, like, you know, you can be both fun and not a how do I wanna say it? Like, you can like, you she can be both, you know, she can be
Yes.
a fun, lighthearted, but
Mhm.
also, like, very, seriously looking for love
Yeah.
type bachelorette, you know? It's
Yeah.
not either or.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just really
So,
hope that people like learn, the fans need to learn so that I hate to say it, but it's like the network needs to like feel comfortable doing it,
yes.
but it should come from the network. They just need to take a risk and the right people will follow and maybe more people from other cultures and backgrounds will follow and be
Yeah.
interested in it because
Yes.
it is new and it is accepting.
Yes. And I think that that is important as well, that they need to just do the right thing and do that because I feel like they will get more people of different backgrounds watching. And I know, like, for me personally, sometimes when I tell people I watch the show, I'm a little embarrassed because there's not a lot of great representation on the show. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, why are you watching that? Like, but
Yeah.
I watch it because I love to see the people fall in love and I find
Yeah.
people that I root for. And when we do have people like a Charity and a Jen and a Rachel and Tasia, Michelle, Matt, like we do have
Yeah.
different people. And also like in the community of like hard of hearing or cochlear implants, when we do see that,
Disabilities, yeah.
like Abigail and Daisy, like that makes me go, okay, I'm more interested in watching. And I think, like you said, there will be more people from those communities who will want to watch. Um, but they have to do it. They just have to do the
Yeah.
right thing. And I know it's a scary thing for them and it's business and all that. But then how do these other shows succeed?
Yeah.
So I'm confused.
Yeah, exactly. Like they just need to bite the bullet, try something new. The people are asking for it, and like the younger people maybe aren't asking for it because they're not interested in it
Yes,
as it is, you
yes,
know?
they're not.
Like, yeah, grandma wants it to stay the way it is, but she's,
Mhm.
you know, she
Yeah,
ain't the future. Like
she's not the future.
I really feel like we are, even though, yeah, I totally get what you mean by like telling people we watch it. Sometimes people are like, oh, but like, you know, it's been the same. Like, isn't it like riddled with racism? Like, what about all that stuff? And it's
Yeah.
like, well, you know, we're actually talking about that. We're trying to fix it. But like at the end of the day, like we are hopeful.
Mhm.
Like they have made some changes,
They
you know, we
have.
give them props for that.
They have made some
Um,
changes, slow and
they
steady.
just need to do it, like, in a sincere way, not
Yes,
just
a sincere way.
not just ticking boxes.
Exactly, and that's what it feels like they're doing a lot of the time. So yeah, and in a sincere way, more common, more often. So it's not like, oh, the first, oh, the second, or like, and let's start mixing up the bachelors too,
Mhm, I
because
know.
we're
I feel
focusing on the bachelor.
really, we've only had 1 black bachelor, and he was half
Yeah,
black, right, Matt?
he's mixed race, yeah.
They
But
could
I
have
think he identifies as black though.
I
Don't
still
quote me
I'm
on
still
that.
sad. Yeah, no, I'm still mad that Mike who was that? Hold on.
Oh yeah, wasn't he from? Was he? Which season did he come from? He's
Mike
awesome.
Johnson.
Yeah, but which? I don't remember
Mike
what season.
Johnson,
A
he's in a
lot.
relationship now.
Yes, good for you,
Oh my
Mike.
god, was he on
Awesome.
Hannah's? Oh my god.
Was it Hannah's?
Hannah B.
So many people wanted him to be the Bachelor.
I I wanted him to be Bachelor. He was
I didn't watch the
perfect.
show at the time, but I've seen him and I get it. So I get
He was
it.
so sweet too. He was cool. Anyways, but he's very happy now, so
Yes,
happy for you,
that's
Mike.
awesome.
But like those were missed opportunities. Matt was
Hmm.
great, Matt
Yep.
James, but should have
Yeah.
been Mike. Anyways,
Oh,
I'll
well,
get
there
off
should have
my
been more than
soapbox.
one. There should have been more
More
than
than one.
one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
know, who knows what will happen after Jen's season?
Hmm.
Maybe there will be a standout black
Or Asian
bisexual
Bachelor,
man.
or oh my god,
Asian.
or Latino too. Like also just like come on, like. But that's the thing. Also, unfortunately, sometimes people and this is interesting that Jen, it's awesome Jen is, but people were saying, oh, that before like it wasn't going to be Jen because they already just had Charity, so they can't have two women of color back to back, but they are.
Yeah, that is, yeah, they are.
So
Mm.
they just need to
Did
do it
they
more
want to
often.
originally? That's the question, but whatever.
Mm. Listen to our other episodes, guys, that have already come out,
Yeah.
where we touch on that.
We really do
But
talk about this stuff a lot,
we
honestly.
do. I just realized,
I
yeah,
love
we
it
do.
though. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I think that it's just sometimes we have so much to say about it. We can't
Hmm.
just like keep going in an episode.
Yeah.
So it's nice that we like got together today to just kind of like, you
Yes.
know, put our thoughts all out
Hmm.
there for you guys.
Hmm.
And if you agree with us, you know, let us know if you feel like we missed something or if you have something else that you are like dying to talk about.
Yeah.
Let us know. I mean, this is an ongoing conversation. You know,
Yeah.
I'd love to like revisit this after Jen's season and think about like, oh, wow, we've seen improvements, or like, wow, there's still things that, you know, are lacking in
Hmm.
the area of diversity.
Hmm.
So, you know, I'm glad that we can talk about it and like
Yeah.
just, you know, again, I hope that this can cause some change.
Yeah, I hope it does. And yeah, we're definitely going to revisit this because, like you said, it's an ongoing conversation. And yeah, let us know, guys, if you agree with us, you feel like we missed something. Of course, we can't talk about everything with it. We're trying to just cover some major points in this
Yeah.
episode. So don't think that also if we didn't mention something that we are overlooking it. It's just that, hey, we got to keep it wrapped up here. So we will continue talking about this. But we are excited and happy for Jen. We are so ready for her season to start and for her to find love. And may they continue to choose people based on just truly, are they going to be a great lead, and not take into consideration other things like their race and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also just let's see different religions. Let's see different, let's see like nationalities, more nationalities and things like that. That would just make
Yeah.
things way better. Body diversity, LGBTQIA plus,
Yeah.
literally any type of person.
I think
I
the
want to see.
body diversity honestly would be a huge move for them too. Like we have
Yes.
one dude on Jen's cast that is I don't know what
Like
to
I
call.
don't know, like a bigger guy.
Yeah,
I
just
don't.
like yeah,
Yeah.
like just not your typical build.
Bachelorette contestant. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And part of me is like maybe he'll be kicked off night one. Like that's just sadly like the assumption
Mm-hmm.
of most of these people who are not like the typical
Yeah.
look. But like, maybe they hit it off and it would just be great to see that representation also.
Yes.
So,
We just want to see it all, guys. Different representation, because that is the world we live in. This is the country we live in. And we should see it on TV because it doesn't hurt anything to do that, to just
totally.
reflect society. So, because we're all watching it and making you money. So, why don't you
Yeah,
show
right.
people? But that's all I have to say about it.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Julia.
No,
This has been such
yeah.
a great conversation. And
No,
yeah.
I think this has been really good.
Mhm.
Thank you for like, providing this platform for us to talk about it.
Oh, yeah, of course. And yeah, I appreciate you joining me with us and talking about it too and being a
Mhm.
part of this. So, thank you guys. We're going
Yeah.
to wrap it up. Of course, always look for our episodes on where you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, watching us too on YouTube. We are on
YouTube.
Patreon, of course. And
Please.
rate us 5 stars. If it's not five, though, guys,
Yes.
sorry. We don't need to see it.
Just DM us.
Just DM us, yes. On Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on the socials.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a great one, guys.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.